School of Education is bringing on board. We hope to continue with the various programs hand in hand with the different groups of people, our internal schools in Ibumba, which we very well know, School of Law, School of Social Sciences, School of Science, School of Business, School of Industrial Art and Design, School of Education, and I think that's it. So we shall work hand in hand with those formal schools with the different trainings they have to see what we can top up to make a better person. Internally, we are having people who graduate from those respective programs. And we intend to work hand in hand with them to establish that unveiled part which they need to make a better graduate when they move out for service. We are not only going to concentrate on the internal environment of Ibumba University, but as well the external. If we are in education and our interest is to top up or to supplement the formal education given to the different groups of people, it means that we shall have to move out of Ibumba and support the society. My prayer, therefore, is to call upon all members here, the deans. I can see the School of Business Administration is with us. The team from SIAD, we have Professor Ida here with us. We have Mr. Kajubi here with us. I hope we shall be able to work hand in hand to have that dream achieved. I am going to give my speech short. I've given an overview of what this whole program is about and where we are heading to. We are starting today with this launch, and I hope that we shall be able to work together for the better. I thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Esther. Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for Dr. Esther. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Esther is with you. Thank you so much, madam. Thank you so much, madam. Today at this particular launch, there is a lot we're going to encounter and see taking place. Still within that same ministry, that same view. I remember Professor Senteza Kajubi having thought of this idea. I was making research about AIDS. So, Professor Senteza Kajubi oversaw the entire government. This program to be endorsed in the entire country. Ladies and gentlemen, for that particular honor, that's why we are here to launch this program. Allow me to recognize our guest speakers. Allow me to recognize our online family. Allow me to recognize our online family. You're most welcome. This is Ibumba University. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to recognize some of our guest speakers today. This is Bernard Kamba. About the sound. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to recognize some of our guest speakers. This is Kamba Bernard. She's the executive director. She can stand up and make a round of applause. She is the executive director, Future Upgrade Foundation, and the guest speaker. Next, ladies and gentlemen, among our guest speakers, this is Kenya Gerard. She can stand and talk to us. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Kenya Gerard. She's the curriculum specialist and director of Future Upgrade Foundation, and she's our guest speaker today. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you are ready for the next in the agenda. Allow me to introduce the first performing act. Allow me to introduce the first performing act. led by Pure and Bright. Ladies and gentlemen, make a round of applause for Pure and Bright as they present the first performing act of today. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Prof from School of Education alongside. My name is George John from School of Education. We are going to present you. We are going to demonstrate to you the beauty of Nkumba University, our institution. Nkumba University, the community I own, situated along Senteza Road, 18 kilometers from Kampala. A glowsome view directs you to the left. A parental welcome is given at the entry. A clean, conducive environment to learning. Nkumba University welcomes you. Competence, people and character, ability, professional and social interaction are really to do in this contemporary era. Societal transformation and growth are key. In today's life, that requires innovation style. For this reason, we shall always own Nkumba University for this, that we shall live virtually. I own, and you own me. Yes. Okay. Because the reason went today, and the need breakdown, the reason go to this breakdown, and we are trying to get the hands. As you can see, they are facing over there, the new particular ones, and then other things. There is no way. As I want to come to the academic use from, you want to forget to take over the other side and go back to our papers. They are so good, so we can take one and make other things that we actually wish to go about. Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, along your time, our is the Department of Education, you must work on the website. Take a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, dear scholars and fellow teachers. I am delighted to be here and to bring the greetings from Nkumba University. And from the registry, we are glad to have such a convention that is bringing out the gist of one of the themes touching our founder, one of our first Vice Chancellor, Professor Senteza Kajubi, and as a university, he contributed a lot, having been the first African Fulbright scholar. And he contributed a lot in terms of education in Uganda. He is among the first educationists considered in the Ugandan education as the father of education in Uganda. And he had a pivotal role to play in shaping the education system in Uganda. Specifically, we remember Professor Senteza Kajubi for the introduction on the free primary education, the UPE. We remember very well the white paper where he was the chairperson on the white paper that recommended the UPE system. And Nkumba, as a university, after Professor Senteza Kajubi, when he retired from Makerere University, he joined us as the first Vice Chancellor in the first private chartered university, and he did a commendable job. I remember very well that education was not about structures during his time. It was about the content that is taught in terms of the need of the society and the demand of the society that Nkumba nourished at the time of Senteza Kajubi. And he nourished the university with a lot of imaginations that are still evident at the moment. Now, getting to the non-formal education, in this gathering, we remember very well as we commemorate and start the program on the non-formal education or non-formal community education program. In brief, I would like to comment that this was also central during the lockdown, where children were able to be taught from home. Homeschooling at the time was a borrowed leaf from an aspect of the non-formal community education that involved the learners outside the educational learning centers, and which can also be utilized in terms of teaching the pupils, the learners, to take advantage of any learning environment. And in brief, I'll conclude by saying that non-formal community education will still increase the parent, teacher, and community involvement in the learning process, which we are able to embrace as a university, and I owe you. Thank you very much. I still owe you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was such an insightful speech and an address. I hope you, ladies and gentlemen, you learned something. Thank you so much, sir. Another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to recognize he is the Dean of School of Business. A round of applause for sir. You're most welcome. Allow me to recognize former registrar, is now professor in School of SIAG, Professor Yuda Andrew. Ladies and gentlemen, I think the next on the agenda, allow me to welcome a poem from our former students in here, School of Education. I believe you enjoy this. Ladies and gentlemen, she came to attend this for the love of Professor Senteza Kajubi for having thought about such a wonderful program that will benefit the community. Ladies and gentlemen, make a round of applause for the next performer, overall from Nakisa. Carol, you're most welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Carol Nakawesa, a former student, School of Education. I'm going to present to you a Luganda poem about Professor Senteza Kajubi. Byetwakulanga tulaba, tetwabikopa ku ssomero, tetwabironda mu nguudo, twabikopa ku taata, twabiryoka mu maama, bwe twagatta obuwangwa ne kibula omukombi gwe. Senteza omukenkufu naye bino yabiraba, kyeyava ateesa ng'asala amagezi nti ennimi ennansi zisomere mu ssomero. Zirina emigaso enfaafa mu kutegeka omuntu, mulimu ebitontome, mulimu obuwangwa, mulimu kasibannimi n'ebikokyo bingi n'ennyimba nkulu nnyo. Zirabbiwaza obwongo ziyigiriza okuyimba. Kagomba Kalibandira temwerabira ye yategesa Kyagulanyi n'afuna ettutumu lingi nnyo eryamutwala n'ebweru. Olw'okubeera omukenkufu omukulu Ssabakenkufu Ssekamwa olw'obukulu bwa Nkunda, Ssabakenkufu Ssekamwa ye yateesa n'atukolera omubala obugamba nti ommanja mu kinyanyimba ate ayi teyakoma naawo n'ayongerako the forces z'owulira. Zirima nnyo mu kinyanyimba sijja kuzikyuseera. Competence, confidence, creativity and character zeefumitirizeeko nnyo, zijja kukulambika naawe mu kussa mu nkola omulala. Senteza omukenkufu naye bino yabiraba, kyeyava ayongerezaako Nkumba nnyaffe ayongere okugenda waggulu mu bbanga. Tujjukirenga nnyo mwaffe Senteza omukenkufu ataajjulisa amagezi, wabula yakirowooza nti nno esente wagika nnyo ng'ogiwagidde obwongo. Era Senteza omukenkufu alina erinnya William lya ddiini oba gitegeeza will you come and study from Nkumba? Nkwagaliza embeera ennungi ommanja I owe you.
Next on the agenda, allow me to
excuse me that I will speak from this place. I want to go to the podium. I'm glad to see that the School of Education have considered to set up a date when we will remember the activities of Professor Senteza Kajubi. Professor Senteza Kajubi was my lecturer when I joined the Faculty of Education in Makerere, 1958. He told me When after graduation, I came and I joined the School of Education at the University, and eventually became my boss because she was the vice chancellor of the University twice, and second tour of vice chancellorship. Dean of the School of Education in Makerere University for 14 years. Then in 2005, we had the
Wakanda forever. Black Lives Matter.
Did we do?
Wakanda forever.
I shot one.
Fortnite battle pass. I just shit out my ass. Put it on my PC, cause I need to get that Fortnite battle pass. I like Fortnite, did I mention Fortnite? I like Fortnite.
Did we do?
Hello, and I like it. I like it.
What everything? What the fuck?
Teaching on from education was, for example, we say portable course where we short sayings which were full of wisdom. Then secondary, we also to learn from education through stories. We tell us stories, and through those stories, we pass on knowledge from education was, and we learned a lot from that way of his teaching. Then there was non-formal education through programs. He was a master of programs in the English and his language, Uganda, which used always use to pass on non-formal education. Then there were other forms of passing on non-formal education through the behavior. For example, as you walked around the campus here, and you met a piece of paper on the campus on the ground, or in non-using bottle, the bottle was for water, you will pick them up and take them to the dustbin. And through that way, many of us learned from him how we should behave in society. Then he also had an obsession of keeping time. When he was supposed to give a talk at a certain time, exactly at that time, he would start talking. Even though there was only one person around. Through that, he taught us very much through formal education. Then, through a list of these occasions where formal education is taught, for example, through drama, debates, the invitation of guest speakers, radio and TV talks, belonging to Rotary clubs, a prayer group, and a singing group, and poem, and many other instances through people go through. In that respect, taught us through the formal education system and through the non-formal education system. And we requested teachers to adopt this system so that their teaching is not only from formal education through the classroom, but also through non-formal education. Now, because he impressed me so much through his teaching us through non-formal education, I have provided 6 titles which are displayed there and which probably get hold of them can afford to buy some of them so that you can see the way he was teaching non-formal education. So there are 6 titles there. One is called Professor and Senteza, the teacher. The second one is called Professional Ethics for Teachers. Then the next title is called The Fourth Man and the Woman. Then the next one is the Bible of Uganda in Minister Region. And the fifth is called The Koko of Uganda. And finally, Uganda and her finishing. By going through those books, one can see how you can teach using non-formal education. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's learned now. Another round of applause. Moving around here. Like publicity, like you narrated them. Professional ethics for teachers looks like. And they are all set. The very satisfying first, and the very affordable. And so, professional ethics for teachers. The teachers' ethics, especially for us, the teachers who are here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what is here. This is how it looks like. You will have to go around here and check how all these things look like here. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me next on the agenda. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, skills of everyone from how I recently, ladies and gentlemen, now for the conference today, and there is much more. Allow me to introduce the president, Mr. Wilma, and Mr. Jesse. Ladies and gentlemen, skills. Make a round of applause. As you can see, the setting is going to move here, and this is the right side. This is the right side, and that is the setting. Can our online family also be able to tap? If we can see the wire reaches this side. Sometimes online families are quite complicated to deal with, but we shall move. Yes. These two. Yes, sir. Okay. Okay, jadi kita sih no. Itu kemudian ya kan. Nah, untuk itu bisa kan Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me for our actors from that particular skit. Have you understood the skit? Have you understood the skit? Yes, anyone that understood the skit? Pardon? The first actor says he's reading a newspaper and then he finds out that it is very unfortunate that a man was found killing himself and an animal. And then his friend, in short, he reads the newspaper. But he holds the newspaper.
But his friend holds the newspaper upside down, and then he reads the story, saying a different meaning. And then, have you understood? Did you understand the concept? You did understand the concept? What did you understand? Yes, please come over. Please come through. Come through. Our online family also has to look at how Nkumba University students appear for this particular. Yes. How did you understand in the skit?
Okay. Yeah, I'm Namkos Asha from the School of Sciences. Me, I understood that skit in a way that the first man who read the newspaper, he was holding the newspaper upside down. So the other man said, "Oh, it's a pity. That means, according to me, the skit was trying to show me that we not going to school and not sending students to school, it's bad. Because so this man, you're misinterpreting the information because he didn't go to school. That's what I understood from it. Education is the key to success and to wisdom. Thank you.
Wow, round of applause. Any other person? How you understood the skit? Eh? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, yes, please come through, come through. What did you understand?
My name is Bright once again. Also to add on what she was saying, we see that in the first case, one reads the newspaper in the wrong way. Because we see abantu babiri balamba bafudde. You get the concept. But then when we look at this one, who comes and reads the newspaper, in the way it is supposed to be read. We find out that there is someone who is practicing what we call bestiality. Because when a man engages with an animal, and of which we know according to creation, it is not supposed to be man with an animal, but man with man, not man with an animal. So we see bestiality taking place, and that is trying also to corrupt the morals of the society. So we see what another man is bringing into the society, is trying to corrupt the morals of the society. Thank you.
Wow, a round of applause for that interpretation. That was very wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a program where we need to be very sensitive and truly understand what is taking place. Now, what you are seeing here, it is what actually happens in society. Understand? Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome Professor Andrew. Okay. Now, that was the first part of the skit. That was the first part of the skit. Now, within the skit, there will be other substantiated parts that I would need you, ladies and gentlemen, to interpret within time. Now, allow me, before we get to another part of the skit that I would need you to truly understand, allow me welcome Professor Andrew Peters Yeager.
I greet you all. When I stand here, it reminds me the first graduation of Nkumba University that was held here before this building was up. So I've been following Professor Senteza Kajubi from Makerere up to here. When I was in Makerere 1989 up to 2010, I interfaced with Professor Senteza Kajubi. And while in Makerere, I was also commuting to lecture here since 1997 up to date. So this building reminds me where we had our first graduation in Nkumba University. The title for this presentation is a good one. It covers a number of ideas, issues, and it will propel us to another level. Non-formal community education. I would like you, when you hear that, take it hand in hand with informal education. Take it hand in hand with formal education, and take it hand in hand with non-formal education. And don't lose sight of the beginner's education as well. While we debated this issue earlier in this university, in the dining room, I asked the presenters, in whose eyes do we call something informal, or formal, or non-formal? Whose lenses do we use to name these educations? So where do you come from to name what you name? Or what is your orientation in what you name? So the naming is an issue. So non-formal community education is planned, is structured programs, and it goes through a process of personal, it can be personal, but again, it can be social education, it can be communal, for all people. And here I add the aspect, come as you are and study. No entry requirement. And we figured in the Senate with Professor Senteza Kajubi whenever we would talk about entry requirement, he wanted everybody to join education for all. So don't lose sight for education for all. Young adult, come as you are, in other words. And it desires to improve a range of skills and competences outside the formal educational curriculum. Outside the formal educational curriculum. So non-formal takes place outside the traditional learning classroom setting, but it consists of a well-planned and structured education programs. So the presenters should cover aspects of that. Now, while I hinted on indigenous education, I would like you to pay attention to our languages. He used to use something like Senteza Kajubi, used to say, Ewagoku. And another one we used, Kewerimide. So those are philosophical sayings or pronouncements that should alert us as a group and as individuals. So signs, visual symbols, and I would like you to remind you about fires. I forgot my father's marriage because when I was born, I slept in a rurugo. And when I became a success, I was also dressed with a rurugo. So I grew up not using bed sheets, but a baka cloth, and I know how to make it. It was not taught to me in class. And I still have the mallet here at Siadi. I move with it. The kifundi I have it in my room at home. And the spear I was in my room. They remind me a lot of where I have come from. And when I use the word orientation, pay attention to it. Where do you come from to do what you do? Everything I know, I did not learn it from a classroom. So think beyond that. Now I move on. We learn through songs. When mothers are pregnant, they move around singing. As they go to the well to bring water, they are singing, and the fetus in the belly is also in rhythms. So how do we know what we know? Folk tales, prose narratives, dance, sports, totems, taboos, restrictions, and activities like hunting. When I hear that song is called Dungu, I always remember the rutura, the net that we use for hunting. And again, the hound, the dog. Boo, boo. I always, whenever I hear the word Dungu, it echoes a number of things in my ears. So all we know, we did not pick it from the classroom. So activities like hunting or proverbs. Now the word community in that title that we are covering today is a social system and it's a context. Don't lose sight of that. A community is a social system and it's a context. And the social system is comprised of two major aspects: a social structure, a network of social relations, social interactions, status structure. The second aspect is the culture, shared orientation, shared values, social norms, the do's and don'ts, roles, privileges, and duties. Now, to end with, I'll wind up by quoting something. It's within Nkumba University. I would like you to look for the second commencement lecture of Nkumba University. We still have copies in the stores. The presenter was Bishop Adrian Kivumbi Dongo. The title was For Culture's Sake, Educate for Life. So we study for life, not for grades, not for certificates. And he presented that paper April 20, 2007. For culture's sake, educate for life. So this is an education whereby you enter that program. It's not accredited by anybody, except the community, the indigenous community, or the village where you belong, or your father. My father knew how to make a back cloth. I picked it from there. So when I hear words like kuwatula, kusaka, I just get the message immediately. And these are different merits being used. Change from left to right, and systemically done. So pick a leaf from me. So going for education that goes beyond the classroom. I remember somebody gave a story that there was, it's like here, if I call you for this workshop, and I said beyond there will be certificates to be given, you would have seen more people seated here because they are after papers. And I've been to several universities, and others will bear with me. There is where they ask you, come and work with us, but they don't ask you for your papers. Come and work with us. They don't ask you, what do you have in your coffer? I have that degree, I have that degree. What can you do? And we are told today, during interviews, if they ask you, why are you here? Why have you come to be interviewed? Don't just say, I qualified in this, I qualified. What new thing can you add beyond your papers? That's the non-formal education. What else can you add beyond what we know? Because you have already given us the CV. What else can you add to the institution? I owe you.
social stratification, what we all see in family, what we all see happen in family, and things that are really affected. This warrior and Muslim.
Like I was saying, the purposes of our family, the purposes of our online family. The next on the agenda, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to see a skit that is going to demonstrate a family social stratification, what happens in families, and it's going to be led by Miss Gloria, Teddy, and Mr. Sekamanya. Ladies and gentlemen, let me make a round of applause for the next skit.
Why do people talk a lot? Why do people talk a lot? If you're not married, people talk. What's up? People talk. Do you believe? I mean, I am married. Nina Kale, Nina Tracy, Nina Jackie, Kale, Ngababini, Ngabasab. Na yo chimanyi, tunakusawa olabizime. Uchimanyi tisawa zili 5, sinava kulowa de kachai 11. Babeka? Sinanywa kachai. Ami. Nzokwerunya. Ntibona banyange batya.
Yes, Teddy, how are you? Every day, yeah, this is the chance I'm going to yes, darling, how are you?
I'm okay. Hi.
I'm fine.
You look good.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Katunda yatonda gwe. Allah akbar, nali kuzolisiana wesimanye. Omanyi ekiriwo. Omanyi ekiri mu Uganda. Do you know what is happening? I mean, you don't know.
Yeah.
May I tell you? Ekiri mu ggwanga kati. Omanyi nti eggwanga lyonna liri ku bunkeeke.
Yes.
Omanyi nti ensi yonna yonna eri bubi.
Ate kiki?
Enjala ennungi. Kyekiri mu ggwanga. Eno babuuza abakolera abali eno kiki ekigenda
kitegeera naye ng'omaaso mwakanya ojja you prepare breakfast then I'll come for supper.
Nze omwami wo I will prepare.
Omulimu omanyi omulimu kyekikulu nsomye ebitabo bingi.
Singa Professor Senteza Kajubi abaddewo n'alaba bino.
Kyo kituufu naye
You're my wife, right? You're busy, right? Enjala ennuma, right? Ogenda kukola, right? Tuka bulungi. Tuka bulungi. Nywa. Ndya bikisi. Likusa. Yasoma. She's educated. Era muyivu. Era emirimu. Enjala ekwaki. Sokola bindako. Tubategereze. Watch. Choka mama sauba. Mami sauba. Munaka tukagekenera bide. Choka sauba. Choka tinera teka pelika. Thank you. So what about na him mwana gwe senga yakutendeka. Nze musajja wo nalidekachi ngozo wulira
Iyo tata saupa ninayo echingazi.
Chingazi.
Akeki kafe. Nemwoge yasizeo.
N'akawogo. Thank you. Amin. Side eno ndo labe kigenda mata. Yana kikyasoma nnyo kikyagenda wala mu bitabo. Amin. Na Yesu nga akola omulimu. Bali basoma okiseera. Kakati gwe bw'obeera gwe ogenda n'aluwa atasoma atobuyita atasoma gambo wa Profesa Senteza ki ono omulala oba Profesa ani tutalabireeyo mu maaso ata aluwa mumisalo gwa kiruwa ekyama kyattu nga oluwa kireeta bambi ekyana ekyo nkyagala era nalikuwadde amagezi gwe yalinga nti bw'oba oli kusayidi eringa ebintu bikusobedde togaana kukola ki kweyiyaliya sayidi eno kutanegatawo amin mamisawa onki kubitwantiwo akawogo kange ekimbazi kyange Thank you. Kakati neyanzisa mama kulambula bino byonna byange. Amin, thank you. Ekindazi tekiyitibwa nsooke kawogo Thank you. Neyanzisa. Neyanzisa akawogo kange. Amin. Ng'obonaabonera ki? Nidako. Abasoma. Sama simanyi. Choice yo. Noya kukandazi. Noya kukawogo. Apasineo. Noya kuki. Kakeki kafe. Ochimekete. Ochimani. Jump at any cash shoulder. Machai.
Yes, Rachel. Ninatenera video flash yange naenda kubantu kawogo kitaka.
Darling. Hello.
Kwanza nategeka kachani.
Babi kama sema.
Mama. Ndio kawogo mwana.
Olie kawogo.
Mubamba nakugambye okubeka chaya tera mu.
Katwale mamu, katwale. Wena mliburundi, katwale kabula na flash. Amin. Naye ayagala okulya ku kiti. Kawogo. Naye okategeka. Nze tegeka kawogo. Ye naalya. Okusoma kuno. Walabye namu. Neyogereyo bakuwa. Neyogereyo. Education. Wakati tuliposana twinjo ngatambi ebya Profesa Senteza Kajubi ne Kajubi ne tugane kufuga omuntu nchirekera ne waliwo abagamana amin.
Yes, honey, I have a flashing cup.
Kakati ono mwana alwadako alwa olindaki wandi ebibyo byava nemulinawo nemikazi ndaluka sijja kufuna sina na magezi echi no newe banatwala ngolo bakwambalira bwe batyo ku macha kuno omala n'otwasi nina kasajja kale gwe mukazi gwebinda gwe mukazi sina na magezi banna bwe bagogula bino gwogula gyebalekose bano ndi mukomera genda twale wandi kale mama bulungi mama nina yomulondo emwanyi kasoti omulondo gwabeba mulondo gwabita mutumbulinyise ebeeyi otyo oganda mulimu nelubalula mulina omulondo mulina lubalula nalula emwanyi asosobola bitaano jangu banya bale basebo kamala okusasula omulondo nkomewo
Okay, everyone, let me now very possible tell us what you understood and how you see it. One way, you come from the bread. For all the time we have, what? I mean, you know, school, and then what you do, and then you want to
From what I've understood, I've seen the skit, everything I've understood. What I've understood is, so we see, for the first case, we see one of the wives, I would say. She comes, she's educated, but then she cannot perform her duties as a married person. She's married to her husband, but then we see she's now she's transmitting the duties that she is supposed to do as a wife, giving them to the husband. And now we see that she's bringing all that she used to do while at campus. We see she's feeding the husband with kisses every time. She's bringing excuses. But now we see someone who creates a difference. Someone has been really trained in the morals, how she is supposed to behave when she's married to a man. We see all the care, all the pampering that she gives to the husband. And now we see that even the husband himself, there is much respect that he gives to this one who bows for him. And as compared to the one who's just minding about her job and caring, she's even thinking of how she labored much for this job. Thank you.
Wow, that's so good. A round of applause for that analysis. Representing the ladies, the name and school.
My name is Ruben Bogare, a journalist from the School of Social Sciences. So basically, in brief, this skit was trying to show us that in as much as we want academic education, we also need social and moral education to balance our lives. Because in as much as we are educated women, we need also to come back to the level of being morally and socially educated and able to interact with not just our husbands, but everyone else in general. Thank you.
You want to know? That is what we call the Professor Senteza. Allow me to introduce the head of the department, School of Education, Public Communication, and that man is now.
Our distinguished guests, lecturers, our dear students, and future professors from Japan, you are all most welcome. I'm afraid, not cousin, now, Professor Senteza was served of science, and the very well which shows us to go from this and not line. Yes. So, but very some of the who are my child, they are with and yes, that is good. I don't remember when I was in secondary school, when you know, share the government paper, and my teacher, whom I don't remember now, he said that we introduced local language in primary schools. I said, wow, what a wonderful professor. I learned and I learned until God gave me an opportunity. I was teaching at Senteza with a Saturday, and then I literally that is a matter of apply. And miraculously I applied. reached me miraculously. So we used to have meeting staff, which is one of the basic non-formal way of socialization of what people are working with. So we used to organize those staff, general assemblies or staff meetings, and that was my first meeting when we was the chair. So when I came up, I had a secretary for him, the professor would like to know who I am. I said, there's no numbers. Professor wants to know me. Then I said, indeed, he was very well in that formal education. Truly, the Maganda want to teach other. They start by greeting and they want to know. That's why he said, are you strong? What's your? But then if you are already familiar, then you don't just say, meaning that instead of paying where you are coming from, it was a so, the formal education is so wonderful. And so happens to be that when I was doing my master's research, I did it in early childhood. And my topic was about what is the teacher in the common people's expression. Truly, I know about so much. Self-confidence, clarity, critical thinking, and several other skills, inclusive of music. Our lady made a poetry for us. She talked about poetry. That is so grounded in non-formal education. She said that you have to learn you have to learn meaning that and the to the young generation. Secondly, that in most of our there is sacrifice you have to learn. But you never see children have very limited time with parents, apart from the 2.5 years that they had with us in COVID. That means that schools have to change the goalposts, such that this time around they feel more for the non-formal education. And that is the simple way. How are we going to integrate non-formal into formal education? I always tell teachers that I train that education is an education. Because how much you are educated, if you cannot know how your neighbor is, if you cannot respect, if you cannot respect, you are not. And again, look at my friends, it helps us to say, for example, that's why James chapter 3 is all about, the first verse is about, not many of us should become teachers, right? Because we put teacher judge with greater strictness, but other verses talk about the process of the time. And the process of that time can be learned from the non-formal education. And to survive, to socialize, and if we are clear economic goals, we can only get through the non-formal education. The government is dreaming from predominantly subsistence to predominantly industrialized. How will we have the governments across the land to value us and the neighbor, to value our environment? Remember, it is on record that our generation have used banana as a generation. But why? Because like we miners are trying to say for God and man, story. We don't mind, we do whatever we can, but why? Because we are forgetting that in indigenous society, people used to say, in academia, to add a zero. But for reason when I was asked why I'm a professor, that for you learn how to add a zero, for me learn how to fix that, with the screws. So dear friends, future professors from China don't learn how to add a zero. I want over zero. Get it and income. We pray that you become a better generation. We pray that you become wonderful. Why? You are here because you are the one who simply abundantly in 2040. We are here because we have realized that the government goes through you, our dear students, especially teachers. Because we teachers are the soul of the world, but we cannot become soul unless we go to the non-formal education that Professor Senteza Kajubi worked for so much. Speaking, I'm not the lesson of this speak of today. I kindly request that I stop here, and thank you so much for listening to me.
One more time, for applause, ladies and gentlemen, for the master. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, at this particular moment, allow me to recognize our vice chancellor, Professor Kajubi.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm privileged to have people here understanding the objective and usefulness of non-formal education. I did this study for my doctorate, and I found it very interesting and very implicative to social development. I'll continue being happy if members continue understanding it and utilizing it. At this moment, I wish to welcome our guest speaker, Mrs. Geraldine Bukenya. She will introduce further what she engages in and include that we have a strong team behind this and ready to work towards its achievement, the social transformation. Mrs. Geraldine.
Thank you, Madam Esther. Allow me to take off the mask because my seasoned teacher and we used never to teach with them. So I will be clear, I'll be clear if I put a bit. Madam Esther and all the professors around and the administration of Nkumba, I'm so privileged to stand before you to discuss something which I feel passionate about. My name is Gerald Nakatumba Bukenya, Mrs. I'm a professional teacher, primary, secondary, TTC, NTC, university. Then I ended up with the national curriculum where I spent most of my time. And what was I doing there? In those years, I was promoting our local language around the country. I found about 9 languages written, and I left about 40 written. You don't need to know them, but help them write their languages. And all this started with the professor's efforts in 1992 when he recommended the recognition of our languages, of our local languages. And I was fortunate that I was given the responsibility of handling those languages to make sure they are written, used in education, preserved, and well maintained. And that's what I was doing. So I think I added something to the nation. Today, our intention is to remember the great educationist Professor Senteza. He made me what I am. Because formerly I was just a teacher trainer. And when I went to the national curriculum in 1991, I was given the responsibility of looking after the languages of Uganda, all of them, to make sure they are written, used in education, and they are preserved. I had nowhere to start from because it was a new setting. I was allowed to sit on the committee after they had written the first draft, which revised the second draft. We had to look at each and everything that had been written, either make an input, cross a line, add a line, and so on. That was a heavy privilege because I would sit with big shots like Professor Sekamwa, like Mr. Sentamu, who was the director of national curriculum, like Mr. Kalinda, who is well known about this, and others from the ministry. We would sit and digest each and every part of the white paper. And later on, we had to design a curriculum which was supposed to reflect the white paper, which we did. However, we made one mistake. We never prepared the masses to receive what we are cooking. It was called, we had to vocationalize all subjects to make sure we include the moral part of it, the cultural part of it, the indigenous knowledge of it, so that we enrich the curriculum, which we did. However, since we never prepared the masses for what we are cooking, what came out was people could not understand the language we are talking, and they so rejected the curriculum, which would have taken us very far if it had been taken on. Those of you who have been in education, you remember what we called volume 2 of primary. That's it. So the program, when we are here, we are talking about the non-formal education, formal education, and informal. These are interrelated because they are working on the same brain and they are coming up for the same output to bring out an ideal citizen who is able to fit in the challenges of this nation and who is able to manufacture, and to be an exemplary citizen of Uganda. So we cannot leave out one. We have done well with formal education. Yes, fairly well with non-formal. And we are growing to the lower level with the informal. However, I'm so privileged that some brains sat and said, no, we need all of them. And that's why we are here. How do we include what we lost in what we have today, so that we have a better blend of the products we are getting out of universities and higher education institutions. I'm so privileged to have my director, my executive director, Madam Bernadette Nakanwaj from Future Credit Foundation. This is an organization that is looking at the missing link in the curriculum. There are certain aspects which we sort of left at the side, yet we need them. Things like life skills, the mindset that I have to work, as you saw the girl, she has to work. My first priority is money, my job, and you forget the husband, or you forget the children, and the children are not nurtured well, but you have a job, you have the money, you have the car, you have the beauty, you have the house, and so on, but the children, the next generation, is being not well nurtured. So we are working on the missing link. Good to meet you, Madam Executive Director. So this is an organization where I am working as a curriculum advisor and they're working on such information. And when we met with the head of department, we really felt so happy because she was speaking our language, and we felt so good. So back to our program. I cannot talk about informal without talking about the formal. The formal is done at school so that we blend the difference and where we work together, how can we gain from each other. The formal is done at school, is planned with the curriculum, done with books, trained personnel, certified when you graduate. It is done in, some people do it in local language because we start with the local language if we have to follow the policy, and then we go to English. So we need more than one language. The informal is actually planned. I wish to recognize my primary boss, Professor Iga, who was here and was talking about this. So he talked about what is planned, the structure. It focuses no entry requirements, no age, no certificate. Teachers are experienced. They may not be certified, but they're experienced in what they're doing. It's practical. It has a program. It has a focus. And when you look at the informal, it's relaxed, done in a friendly way. It is stage situational. As somebody was talking about, Professor, if you find that you didn't put away what was supposed to be put away, you do it practically. And he was exemplary. You can do it, teach as you do it. And when a situation comes, it gives you what to teach. When the visitors come and you don't greet, you know what you will receive during our time. Those of my age, a parent will just teach you by his eye. Just look at you like this, and you know what to do. If you don't know, when the visitors go, you get your sticks. And the next time you will do something different. She expects you to do something good, and you don't do it. You just look at you. Next time he warns you. Sometimes you'll be beaten. First time you get some other punishment. So what am I saying? These people were not trained, but they knew what to teach, and they knew how to shape a human being in an ideal citizen of tomorrow. What we are doing, what we are not doing now. Sorry. Unfortunately, we today, we are not doing it. Our major focus is to look for money, take somebody to the most expensive school, drive him there, hold his suitcase, give him a whole jerrycan of quencher, and tell him, take care, take care. And you don't even mind how he says goodbye. You lift the suitcase, we are doing everything for them. We are not doing our homework. And I'm glad these educated brains are looking at this seriously. What do we need? What do we need? Where do we focus? We need to go back to the drawing board. Include what we lost. Include the missing link. And these people, today, as you see, even the dramatists are putting it out. Where do you get a wife from? Do you get it from Chimoga, Champisi, or Makerere? Where do you get a future wife? Are you getting the wife who is going to be your master? Or are you getting a wife who is going to be submissive, as the Bible talks about it? We wanted somebody who is upright, but must have the expectation of the society. And the society I'm talking about is now your husband. What does he expect from you? There is no time to talk about this because you have a lot of academics, you have a lot to cover at the university, and you want good grades, you want to graduate, and that is it. So we need all the three. The formal, yes, we need somebody who's educated and can bring in some money at home. Non-formal, do your work as culturally prescribed. Informal, you need some other knowledge. You need some other knowledge that is pertinent to the well-being of the family and the nation at large, even in the office. And I tell you something, maybe with your permission. at the entrance of this hall for about 30 minutes. Everybody was just bypassing us as if we are electric poles. And we got only 2 people who said hi, welcome. But this is not normal. Man is a social being and no man is an island. And if somebody can just bypass you as if you are a tree, it brings question marks. We are looking for missing links. Where are we missing? And you also feel good when somebody says hi. Yes, has recognized my presence. So let's look at it. So we need all the 3 to have an ideal citizen. Informal education. I'm talking to the elites. Do I need to define informal? No. In the interest of time, no. We are talking about the trainers. The trainers of informal education were almost everybody. It was the community, the parents, the uncles, the sisters, the friends, and some other people who are professionally placed in some articles, some cultural norms. The ideal woman or an ideal man, the man or the woman we are quenching for. People are saying, if I were to get married again, I would take more homework. Where to get the lady from? But is this really needed? We wouldn't need it if everybody was doing his or her homework. The ideal man is judged according to the society where he is. He's a person whose head, soul, hand are trained. He's socially upright. He benefits his own village, community at large. He's aware of his cultural norms and practices them. Let's look back at do you benefit your community? Does your community benefit from your education? You are so learned, so beautiful, smart, and everything. Is your society gaining from you? I once read something, before I ask what your country has done for you, ask what you have done for your country. And somebody was graduating and the father was giving a speech and says, my son, that degree you have received is not yours. It's for everybody who is here and the nation at large. You have learned that information so that you can change the nation. You can put an extra brick to the building of this nation to its betterment. But your degree, how has it benefited the people you stay with? You have your degree, fine. You just wake up in the morning, put on your dress, put on your suit, get into your car, go to your office. When you come back, even the smallest neighbor is not benefiting. Yet, well, for you are not like us. For us, we started on taxpayers' money, and they ought to benefit from what we had. But for you are saying, maybe I look for my own money, maybe you didn't benefit. But a song is not song. It's not a song until it's sung. Love is not love until it's given out. Education is not education until it benefits those who are around you. Let's just check. Does your education benefit? Who does it benefit? Hopefully. So now we are saying he's expected to have a house, a wife, a livelihood, to help him earn a living. He must have a nourished soul. Because if your soul is not nourished, the body will also get affected. Conscious of what he does in front of people, as somebody says, Banaga Mbalatia. Some people lost that conscience long time ago. They lost it. They do. I do what I feel pleases me. But is that okay? If it's not okay with the society, who are you? So, the ideal woman is the woman who cares for herself, her husband, her children, garden, homestead. This individual must be aware of the practices of norms of hygiene, dress decently, the expectation of her profession, and the community where he lives. You might have a beautiful woman, you want to take her to your father, he puts on those socks, what do they call them? Ragging. on the ragging, and you are going to take him to your father. She's doing everything so well with you. But if she dresses like that, what is your father going to say? Just like the uncle, he said, whatever. Kale, if you love her, you can go to your home. Next time when you are coming here, let her dress at least more decently. And if you tell the wife, you say, well, I better not go there. I can do without going to his home. But is it really true that you can do without your father-in-law? Questions. So she must be one that can take care of in terms of feeding. Our grandparents used to say, conjugal rights, health care, and act as a social partner. It is a desire that this woman should be one who can put a smile on the face of the man, at least on a daily basis. And though she takes gifted person, she should be able to relieve him of his stress through empathy and advice. If your husband is very sharp, you tell him to put on this shirt and he refuses. Now take it as an advice. At least pretend that the community is talking about him. You cannot advise him. And everybody is talking about him. And you are the nearest person to him, and you cannot advise. Why don't you put yourself in his shoes when people are talking about him? Because with that he has the most unattended to beard in the village. It's big, very mature, unattended to, and he moves around with it, and you are not saying anything. But you hear people talking about him. And you just say, okay. Since an ideal woman should have food for his family. These days you work for her monies and you don't even want the man to know, and you are the man who is supposed to. But go to Proverbs 31 from 10, and then you continue. They're talking about a woman who should feed his family. Even culturally, they say, no mukazi asabiriza naye nga tebamuteka mu kitiibwa mbu agenze kusaka olina okulaba nti awomaka gakola ki. But these days we make our money, buy expensive cars, but when the home is demanding and you expect the man to do everything, and unfortunately he might have a less paying job than yours, and you say it's not my responsibility. So if you cannot look after your family, culturally it's a shame for a family which fails to sustain itself in lean times. You need to plan for the family. Resort to stealing, begging, selling would be very shameful. Last but not least, an ideal woman who has all those five. You look after your children, look after yourself, look after your home, look after your garden, and look after your soul. Is rare at 5. However, we can do what we can to score at least a mark in each. Okay, informal education for sustainable development. Though we are convinced that all our children need informal education of some kind, we don't give it. Let's look at ourselves. Where did we miss the link? Where did we fail? What have we failed to do? It's not yet too late. Education is for life, and you learn until you die. Can we go back to the drawing board and see where we missed the mark and put it there? And put it there. When I was young, my father used to give us some 30 minutes before supper. After prayers, we would sit in the sitting room and he talks to us. It was so good. Ask me whether you have done it. And I don't want to deceive you. So, but it's good. This is where I will tell you this and that. Informal education. And you would allow it to ask any question. And if you don't know, you would go and look for the answer and bring it. How many parents have the time to talk to their children? Those grandparents of ours would light a fire outside and they use that time to learn more about their children. to know more about their culture, to know the culture norms, to get the integral part, the social part of the family. Now, this time, we don't have the time. Can we create a few means for these children? The methods and examples referred to in this paper will tap experiences from the Uganda culture. In Uganda, there is a proverb we say, "Chesimani sichongera, nkuba tejuza kamo." So, nange chemanyi chenkolaki chenyokuwa examples. So, respect for elders. Children would never share seats or chairs with elders. The father will give a special chair, a cup, whatever he uses. These days, children even share sandals with the father. If you ring the doorway, you just speak what pleases you. And this one, waters down the respect for the father, the gap between the father, your respect for your father. So we sit on the same dining, but you need to have some respect for, and we use the same plates. That's why we know the plates are the same. You pick any, the cups are the same, and everything is the same. Basins are the same. Sandals, children, and when children are growing up, it becomes nasty if you have to use the same basin with your father. When greeting young person with kneel or whatever it does, when we are using those things, we separate them just to make sure they have their rightful position where we are. Now, let me concentrate on informal education for sustainable development. Informal education is basically taught using the family language. It is taught in a relaxed way. Training may not even know that is learning. Informal education is basically free and done by people who are related to the trainee, either parents, uncles, house girls, aunties, neighbors, and sometimes the community. Teacher, let me give an example. Nan Tume was singing a song. He was talking about a certain man who would report them whenever they do something wrong. And for them, they would take him as somebody who is a rumamonga. But when she grew up, said, but that man helped me. That man helped you, would always say what I do wrong when my parents could not see. Can we take the initiative to correct children who are not ours? So, missing link. So now we have the teaching uses literature forms as a base for teaching, apart from practical, where one learns or learns practically. We have, let me give you examples from our oral literature and how we're learning from them. Our throwing them away would be throwing away some morals which are very important and some skills which are very important. We used to have a song when we were young. No, it was a poem. My voice is not the best, but just accept it as it is. We would say, Kayanda we situko kuzina, emabega waliyo kasefulia kali ensonzi yamuluma kenyindo, enyindo yamutwala ku kitanda kyamumaluka ensimbi zamuletera okubba. Aba mukakasa kayanda limuganda ddala. So we are focusing from children are learning the word kasefulia, the vocabulary, they are learning the ensonzi. And how many of you know what ensonzi are? Hands up. You can see. I've got a number, but I also respect the number which never put up there because they didn't know, they don't know. So you would learn that one. You would learn the prison, and they would give you the picture of the prison, and they would tell you the prison is like this. You would not like to go there. They hammer into your mind that a prison is bad. A prison is bad. They're saying a person without relatives, you're such a being. How come that you got a series of problems and nobody would assist? So we are saying, as what is expected of you, as your the company would have helped him when he got sick, when he got into hospital, when he got, but nobody is in the scene helping him. He's solving his problems on his own, one after another, one after another. So we are saying, man, It's not, mine is not nylon. Many of you have learned the story of Yamala. I not go into that, but we learn the word Muko, and they tell you what goes on with this. We learn what Kuala. If somebody says Usawanjala, and somebody said ask you for the difference at this age, somebody will say, stop on the first one. The rest I don't know. And we need to know all this. We heard about the story of Lukomera. It gives us the picture of the hard work to get out of poverty. These days, we don't work for the money. The government is just giving us handfuls to get out of poverty. But is it really solving the problem? Well, I don't know. But we need to work. We need to teach our children to work to get out of the poverty, not to line up for money. I'm not saying when they bring it, you don't get it, but do something more than that. Child upbringing. Many parents these days don't dream that they are going away tomorrow. They are leaving their children in this world. We just give him whatever he wants and he will never lack. And you say, if the money is there, why not? But we are bringing an odd product which is going to be there with me after us. And everybody is going to cry around to say, eh? And maybe if God gives you more time in this world, it will pain you so much to see your son suffering, and he cannot do things which would have taught him at the age of 14. There is an idiom, so they will tell us this. Omulima bwatuuka ye bw'abalima obumondo obutono abulekawa mu nnimiro abalina endizi bakole ki babutwale kati bw'atalima ojja n'akakutiya nomuga maama obwo obutono bumpe mbutwalire embuzi zange naye ng'alimba abutwalira baki baana kati kubagamba ebintu ng'ebyo tewandyagadde nnyo kubeera azaalambwa kakati kino ekyo bw'okiraba n'ogamba I talked about the importance of greeting and being in harmony with people. No man is an island. We had games like a chibuga where you exercise your back. These days, many people are crying of backache. But if it was exercised and you learned how to exercise it, you would not have problems. It is even training you for some other work which you would do in your marriage. There is a song we want to talk about. There are things like we are spending a lot of money teaching people patriotism. But let me tell you what used to happen during our time. During our time, before, when you were young, they would tell you your clan, even when you cannot pronounce the word. When irachi, nze nakazi, when irachi, nedira mama, erera wa mumazi, kale, omuziro, omubala, no veranga bakukuyigiriza, batana bana genda mu ssomero. Naye bana kati omuntu ombuuza, wani, nze nakagiri, wedira teba naye when those things they sibimanyi, manyi kimuti nedira kino. Kakati agezako okusalako kubanga takola ki tabimanyi. The sense of belonging starts from the family, and starts from the family. So I'm talking about the critical issue of patriotism. You start from the family. You know yourself. You are proud of your family, and they say, you are proud to belong to that clan, the smallest belonging. Then you come to your village. Where do you stay? They teach you this at school and when you are at home. But now we are spending a lot of money taking people to some place and telling them what patriotism is. I'm saying that you can learn patriotism from our cultural norms. We need to conclude in the interest of time. Informal education is very important. We must accept we cannot do without it. It creates a base for formal learning. It is responsible for skills that help an individual to fit in society. There are some skills, values, which you cannot do without. For example, greeting, thanking, relating to others, sharing, cleanliness, taking pride in what you are, respecting others, considered known to you at school. The school people think that you know when sometimes you don't know. Informal education uses a metaphorical approach which uses content which gives the learners a chance to learn several subjects in a single item. For example, language, SST, history, and others. What we need to do as trainers, as teachers, we need to include all the three aspects together. We should not lose sight of each because we need all of them to have an ideal citizen. It's therefore imperative that the education policy makers should consider giving the attention the informal education deserves. The product which we graduate thereafter will definitely be different. This becomes a very cultural institution. It has a wealth of values. If every learner is through the three, formal, informal, and non-formal, the next generation will be patriotic, friendly, responsible, God-fearing, to mention but a few. No education system is better than this country. So this is the mirror of our country. For God and the future generation, I beg to stop here. Let me take this opportunity to give my executive director, and she introduces herself and tells you what she does, which I feel fits in what we are doing. Madam Bernadette.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Virginia. I am Mrs. Kamba Bernadette Nalongo. I was blessed with a boy and a girl. They are completing P7, and it was my first research team. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a digital entrepreneur, I'm a social entrepreneur, and I love education. My qualification from university in the first place was in engineering. I have experience in engineering, but greater experience in education. And it's one of the reasons why I'm here. I teach mindsets. Everything I do is about the mind, how you perceive things, why you are at that potential and not the best version of you. You have the potential. We believe that everybody has the potential. They just need something small to unlock it, and that's the mindset. So we train mindsets right from the grassroots to all other institutions and stakeholders of education. We would like to join hands with Nkumba University so that we have this used both in formal, informal, and non-formal education, so that our graduates and whosoever leaves school at any point of life has the potential to stand on their own, make their own independent decisions, be resilient, have self-efficacy, and work to their best potential in every aspect of their lives. Thank you very much. I also owe you.
We are so grateful. Today we ask you about our dream. And yes, and we promise to work with you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, members, a big applause than that because we are there. Where we started from, we had one form of education and formal education. The guest speaker is bringing in the other two. And these are what we need to be ideal in the society where we are. There is a lot we have opportunity to share amongst us. The lecturers continue to share and enrich learners. I appreciate greatly lecturers who have moved forward beyond what we have in our course outlines. I thank you very much, and we hope that we are going to have an ideal graduate at the end of the day. Mr. MC, please, I wish to hand over.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a very big round of applause for our guest speaker. Yeah, it was such an insightful speech. I've learned a lot from it, from formal education, and so on and so forth. Yesterday, when we were making the physical awareness about this particular event, we honestly, when we got into the law school, we were being tasked to explain what all this is about. But when Mrs. Kenya was actually ordaining her speech out, I truly understood what exactly this exactly means. That reputation manner, I think you can even listen. So now, ladies and gentlemen, like I told you today, and like I told you today, performances that we have to really illustrate out what all this means. Allow me to introduce the young people you see here. The people you see here, they are from Shihan Standard Schools, primary school. Yes, come. Let's have one of them come. Why should I talk much more at the age of good to be the next speaker of parliament as we are talking? One is coming. What's your name? Okay, what's the name of your school? Where are you located? Okay, where are you located? Oh, that's good. Just one. I think you can hear the English. Now, she understands that primary school. It is a school that has always been partners to this particular university, ladies and gentlemen, and it gives us students. It is a surprise and a shock that one of the actors that we had in the skit comes from this particular school. Please can you stand up and I'm going to ask. Yes, you can see. Yes, lady comes from Chian Standard School, and this particular school has been a school that has always been there for school of education, for teacher training, and so on and so forth. So they have a wonderful performance for us. I don't know if you're ready. For our online panel, ladies and gentlemen, this is the launch of Professor Senteza, non-formal community education, and maybe perhaps, ladies and gentlemen, on my list, allow me to recognize. I want to recognize him in a special way. But however, allow me to recognize him now. We are so blessed to be joined by a family member of the late Professor Senteza Kajubi. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome Wasu Kajubi for this library. Yes, we have the chance to see, me personally, their legends I wish I saw physically. I wish I saw Nelson Mandela, but I couldn't make it. I was in Uganda and I was in South Africa, and I couldn't afford. But now I wish I saw Nelson Mandela's son, how it would actually look like. Ladies and gentlemen, you most welcome, sir, Mr. Wasu Kajubi. Allow me to introduce Shihan Standard Primary School for a wonderful performance. Ready? Ready? The pairing? Pairing is not here. I don't know if there is someone putting on. There is someone who. Someone is connected. Among the organizers, someone connected earlier. We beg to the unfair to be able to out of the spectrum. So can I have again one of you? One. Let me have another. Check out the case I see and play your brother. Take it if you guys are saying another one. Okay, let me just have the same one. Sample. Are you doing that? You're doing it. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to present to us what I can present to the audience. We present a skit. Okay. Anything you wish to explain with the skit? Is that teachers? Is that if I ask such questions with the accent of the English for a permanent? Yes, it is okay. It is okay. Now I'm a lawyer. I'll ask the dialogue constitution of the preamble. Okay. Ready? Is it ready? When you're ready, we are ready. Ready. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for a lovely welcome. She understands Primary School from Lubaka. And with our online family watching this performance.
Baby, 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 baby. Yes, ma'am. Rogo gwana gogwa abachi. Semakula ebibu. Acho akaja.
Kusoma timanyi nobina okuzuukuka ye guno nkola gwobuliwa kyenagweta batamanyi nno olina okusoma batamanyi nno olina okuzuukuka nogenda nosoma batamanyi nno olina okunaaba mama bansonyiwa n'omwaka wa mumazi ngazagogumabulanzi buli Bachimanyi nina okukusa mtowo. Mama tembadde ngenda okukola manga. Kyobadde ogenda okukola nga musanze wena nawe wasa. Mama matesa kusoma mama. Nze nga kikuba nvira. Hi, baby. I love you. What you mean? Bana batola kusoma naye sagala munyonyi. Bwana sagala munyonyi mutwabinjagazi. Mwana mwana sagala mbisambi. Njagala obuuza abantu. Buliwolita. Nkulabye liza mpisa mbi wali wamuzukusiza tombuuzizza. Naye njakubuuza. Mama, chuka keka. Ay. Nakuna ekiwanda. Basi leo ngizungana. Au nakufuna nakoma. Ndibasomesa. Eti mwado basi. Naradoko waka. What are you doing? You know that was going in mother's business. You know that. Come on. The what? No. I don't. Well, I want you to watch your body. That is very Olimpeleza hapo ya mwenda na sentence kwa sana la kumaliza. Excuse me. Sono sarabati. La che mo questo va fuori. Sì, la faccio fuori.
So we are from school, and we're going to Chibara.
Cuma mereka pakai sekarang dekat dengan cuma ada
so buat kemana so boleh so misalnya kamu jalan
dia manualnya untuk kata
yang kuat
melihat kita sekarang kan
Jamani, siri sana
Mwandata mchala
mwana msanza sisema hata cho kibaddewo nze tadi siri lubuto olubuto olugyo wallahi tata nze siri lubuto mukyalo olaba omwana olubuto mugambe yalugyewo ngamba olubuto olugyewo bale mupisa tumefuniwa bale mupisa tumefuniwa mataja kukuma sana 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 mnyale sana 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 sana
ebibinja bino balabana twewale ebibinja.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause to Shihan Standard Primary School. With such an amazing performance. Anyone understood? Anyone that understood? Yes. And Shihan Standard Primary School, we have another dance performance, musical, a musical format. Shihan Standard School.
gentlemen, another round of applause for Shihan Standard Primary School. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shihan Standard Primary School. We love you so much. And it was very amazing that Shihan also gives us students, even if they are their own name. So it's sorted right in there. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to the finalization of this program. I want to really thank whoever managed to attend this. I want to you know them, they are young ones, so sometimes give them a blind eye. So allow me to thank whoever managed to undertake this particular event, ladies and gentlemen. And now I've not yet eaten. I've not yet eaten, I lose the line when I'm seeing food. So before I invite Dr. Esther Namuguya. Dr. Esther, thank you so much. She is the one that managed to mobilize us, ladies and gentlemen, to organize this particular event together with the support of the finance and so on and so forth. Then I also want to recognize the head of marketing, Mr. Collins. Thank you so much. We are on YouTube, our online family, and Zoom, Kumba University, and then still you can still catch it later. We're going to air it on Magic One. In the little time space, we shall be announcing. Trying to get the right here. Allow me something that I didn't want to forget before I invite Dr. Esther to invite the final speech of today, the representative of the Vice Chancellor. Before he comes in, I want to thank Mrs. Mukenya Gerard. Thank you so much, madam. Thank you so much. Like I told you, ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Mukenya is a curriculum specialist and the director and the director at Future Upgrade Foundation. This is Future Upgrade Foundation. You can see this. And Mrs. Mukenya, the reason that's why I want to thank you is thank you for coming with me. Mrs. Bernadette Kamba, madam, when you were presented, I think I have an organization called Old Mind Initiative Africa, and we're looking at creating mental wealth in schools all over Uganda. I'm a TV presenter, Magic One TV. I'm now airing on UBC every Saturday night. I'm not new here, I'm not a star here, but I'm outside there, I'm a star. These are my fellow students. I'm not a star here. Even when last time when I went to IEA, I found some celebrities, but they're not celebrities. The media pounds in IEA, she's actually a local student, but when she goes to another place, she's a star, she's a super artist. I'm going to ask her, China is a personal brand assistant, my brand, Golden MC. We do mental wealth of young people all over the schools in the country. In support and all that. I'm going to ask China, they're going to give us your contact, Madam Kamba. China will give, China will write every other one how we can get to the Future Upgrade Foundation. If we can partner somewhere, somehow. We are rich. How much we are students? We are rich, I don't mean financial, but still mentally. I think there's also mental welfare. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome Dr. Esther Namuguya, ladies and gentlemen, to invite our final speaker and guest of honor of today. Ladies and gentlemen, make a round of applause for Dr. Esther.
Thank you, MC. Thank you, MC. And my work seems not to be big. I only have to invite our former Vice Chancellor. And today, he is standing in for the current Vice Chancellor, Professor Kajubi. He is a great educator of ours, and we appreciate wherever we see him and we discuss. We are proud of him. He has got us to greater heights. Professor Mandel, you are welcome. Allow these young people to benefit from what you have given.
Thank you very much. The Dean, I don't know the protocol, but I think, let me say, I recognize all of you who deserve recognition. Those who don't deserve recognition, you are okay, you are better. And of course, not everybody deserves recognition whenever there are particular functions. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizers, especially Dr. Esther Namugumya, for organizing this launch of the non-formal education. I'd like us to thank the Vice Chancellor, Professor Jude Rebecca, for requesting me to stand in for him. I had thought that I had gone very far, but I think I'm not far enough. Now, of course, as many of you have heard, we have those three categories or types of education, where you have the formal, the informal, and the non-formal. But this morning we are talking about the non-formal, which is planned, structured, and it has, of course, processes, it has reasons or factors why it is organized for many purposes of giving knowledge and skills in a structured way, but it does not belong to the formal education structures or formal curriculum that we have now. However, I would like to begin by saying that all education is based on philosophy, that there must be some thinking behind what kind of learning we pass on to the others, or why we want to bring up people the way we bring them up. Education from Educar, as many of you know. I had the opportunity to interview Professor Senteza Kajubi about his philosophy of education. And he told me that his philosophy of education was widening access. And he said that if he had powers, he would have opened all the gates to the university and let everybody, to use his words, who had thirst for knowledge and skills to come in and learn and go away and do whatever they want to do. So that was not about getting a certificate. I know some people think certificates are not good, but for him that was one of his things, widening access. Let everybody get some education of some sort. He even said that if somebody studied medicine and fails in the 5th year, why should that person be told to go home without any paper? Because I think he has learned more and he knows a lot, except that maybe at a particular point, he did not answer the questions the way the examiner wanted it. So that was one aspect. But he also told a story. It's not a long story. He said that one time, they did farewell to a gentleman who was heading UNESCO in Uganda. That gentleman was from the United States. So the gift they gave to that person was a well-woven mat with the name of that gentleman in the middle of that mat. So this gentleman went back to the US, and when he got there, of course, he opened his bags. People saw the mat, they were very much excited. And they asked him, can we get such mats? So the gentleman gave them the contact for Professor Senteza Kajubi, and they sent a list of 100 names
with the instruction that let people make those marks with these names in the middle, and you send us an invoice. Professor Senteza, could you contact the lady who had made the mark? I think it was somewhere in Masaka. The lady said, now I'm planting. I do those things when there's sunshine, when I'm not doing anything. Said, don't you have other people? Said, no. So, of course, this thing could not work. And the Professor Senteza was disappointed. Not disappointed because the reader couldn't make the marks, but disappointed because there were no young people who could organize themselves and use the skills of this lady and tap into that potential business. Because 100 names are just very few. There would be men and women from other states in the same country who would also love the same things. I think many of you know that if you're moving anywhere and you find something, a souvenir with your names, most often we buy it. So that was the thing. But the point is, can people get these skills and knowledge and use it for their good? So that was one of the aspects we can see that I think as far as education was concerned, Professor Senteza Kajubi was, I think, very generous and foresighted. So when we see that today, we are trying to organize this initiative of launching the non-formal program, I think is a very important program. And when we organize such a program, I think we shouldn't think in terms of, how do I put it? In terms of either saying that non-formal is replacing the formal, or the formal is going to replace the informal. I think all these things have to work together. By the way, they have been moving back and forth. Those of you who have done education and you've done history of education, Professor Kama, you know that we had informal education until I think the times of Plato, then there came the formal. People gathering together and the idea of the school came up because students were many and so on. But the informal bit of it was not lost. It was still going on. The other aspect, I'll come back to that later, but the other aspect that we see, or which we recall about Professor Senteza Kajubi, he was a firm believer in lifelong learning. He often, what should I say, demonstrated or complained? Not to demonstrate, not to demonstrate. To complain, sort of, to feel uneasy about, you know, we used to have those requirements that for it to be admitted, you must, for example, pass 5 subjects at the same city. You would ask, why are the same city? He said, now, if you look at the university, somebody graduates, but he spends here 4 years. Does he pass with those subjects done at the same city? You sit 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. If you're in medicine, maybe even in the 7th year, why not for the same city? So I was saying that if I did not do very well in January, I come back in August and do the same paper again. Why would you not take me to say that because I've not done the work, those papers are the same city? So what we see behind here is that lifelong learning should be there and should be recognized. You don't simply say, since you did not pass the first time, then you should not be recognized at the second trial. So this non-formal education, I think, comes in to say that, well, even the things you learn later, even if you learn one at a time, it is still important that it should be recognized. But of course, recognition means that what you can do is acceptable and has quality. I think this is why many education institutions, they are coming up with those specific trainings. You learn how to roast gonja, they give you a certificate. Now they call it a credential. People in IT, I think you call it what, a badge. People know that, yes, you can even go somewhere and say, for me, I have skills in this. And you have that one. So that is actually non-formal because some of those things are learned online. And I'll be very happy to see Dr. Namugumia here. I don't know how she's going to organize this non-formal. Because many people have been organizing. New Vision organizes, what do you call it, this thing, the harvest money. They teach people skills here and there, and so on and so forth. We used to have people here organizing Chaka. What were they teaching? Dr. Sekani used to attend. So all that is non-formal. It is organized, it's structured, and so on, but you don't go with a certificate, but you get a skill. So the non-formal here, I think we shall see a lot happening. I remember some time back when Professor Senteza was here, there used to be peer counseling training, which used to be given to the people from the community so that they can go back and train or counsel their friends, especially those who are challenged by HIV. So non-formal is quite an important thing. But why should we go to that, to the non-formal? We are going to the non-formal because of a number of reasons. One, that this world is dynamic. Things are changing. What was good yesterday may not be as good today. Or what was needed the other day maybe may not be needed now or may be needed elsewhere. And therefore, we have to look at that. Secondly, there is this understanding that the world needs to develop. But how do we develop? We use addition. If it's developed, then we can say this place is what? Is developed. But if you are only one who is developed in an area, people ask, what are you doing there? It's like when we're moving one time in some place, which I wouldn't want to tell you. Then we saw one person who was walking. People said, what is he doing here? Because everybody was in a big. So it looks strange to see that somebody is walking when others are driving. But of course, we need knowledge also. We need the skills, we need the capabilities so that we keep on surviving. It was this leader of Germany, whom people I think don't like so much, Hitler, who said that survival means constant struggle. A person who will not struggle has no right to exist. Actually, he said that we who will not fight has no right to do it, to exist. In other words, there is nobody who is going to live on your behalf. If you are to live, you must exist. And if for you to exist, you must have the knowledge, you must have the skills, you must have the capabilities to enable you to get to that. So that is quite important. And the objectives of non-formal education, as I've said, it enables those who are thirsty for knowledge and skills to acquire them outside of the formal educational structure. If you are to join a university here, you must produce your O level, produce your A level, produce whatever, must be approved from, I don't know, NEB and elsewhere. And I remember we've been to, one time we went to court. I was academic registrar then, and the problem was that somebody had come here with papers, he had studied and got a degree, and even become a member of parliament. The second time, but people said, I think that paper which he brought to your university was not the right one. So I was, and the question was, what's wrong with the paper? What's right with the paper? If he had no background which was good enough, how come that he did the course and finished? But their argument was that no, when you allow that, then you are going to encourage cheats. You keep on cheating. So if you say that you have this, you must do it, you must have it. Then two, to enable learners to get empowered. If you have a skill, then you are what? You're empowered. If you don't have a skill, you're not empowered. Then to make beneficiaries, that is, people are going to learn, socially and more active towards national values and ideas. One of the problems we have in Uganda, if I may use a different language, is that we don't have civil religion. We don't have any religion. And I think that is one of our problems. What I mean by that, we don't have something that we all believe in together. We are all here. Sometimes people say that one is not Uganda. He comes from Busia, maybe the other side. This one is not. So that one, even if it's a Ugandan, who is not, that one is a challenge. Actually, somebody said that we don't even, the only thing we agree is when we have a passport. But where Uganda starts and ends, we don't know, or we don't agree. You know where Uganda starts and ends? When you go this side. Okay, the other thing is non-formal education is good because it gives people interest in self-development and also brings about community transformation. In other words, you begin with the individuals having the skills, having the knowledge and the awareness, then you get the transformation. Because when you talk about social or community transformation, you are talking about people who are transformed. It is not the land which gets transformed. Yes, it may be, but it is mainly the people who get transformed. What are the characteristics of this non-formal education? It must be well planned and not necessarily in the school. Then it must be participatory. The learners and those who teach them, they are all there. It is open-ended system, no need for structured curriculum, age, time, and curriculum for what they learn. It is flexible. Even if you are very young, you can learn. Even if you are too old, you can still learn. I was complaining one time. My son, when he was in P4, they were taught brickmaking. I was saying now, what is this one for? I said, no, you see, somebody should get out of school when he has a skill. I said, supposing you get out of primary 4 now, what are you going to do? So no, I can't do anything because for you to find even a job, you must be 18 years. By the time I come 18, I'll be joining the university. So we used to remember the bricks or the bricks you bank make. We used to be still important at that time. But of course, you have to pay extra money. You have to, somebody would have left the school at 5, you got to pick him at 7. At the end of the day, there's no value in it. So what I'm saying is, that maybe why don't I leave this person to use the non-formal approach or to use it when he's due. You are teaching somebody something when he's not ready for it. When he's ready for it, maybe that's when you need to get it. I've read many things, including languages. I read even Latin. But now, if you ask me to translate this, what I'm saying in Latin, my God, I think you'd rather send me to the airport on foot. You want to send me to good? I will go. Somebody walked the other day. But it will be easy. So the point I'm making is, if I need it there and then I learn it, I'll use it. But after some time, other things will come and maybe change. So when we are using non-formal, what we are saying is that let us be flexible. Whether what age, whether what time, whatever it is, people should be able to learn. Then we're also talking about, of course, you involve the public, the private, and of course, we have no exams that we shall require. Well, as you said, you may need a certificate. The credentials you have talked about, these ones may help people so that when you say, well, I learned this, and you go to a building like that one, somebody says, okay, if you know how to mix sand with cement, where is your paper to this one? Okay, you work with us. It may be helpful in that way so that people don't leave it there. Now, I would like to say that, of course, there are examples of non-formal learning. You know, sports programs. Kickboxing, for example. I see many young people here who are involved in such sport. But when you go to those places where they are training you, that is non-formal. But it's also structured. And when you get up, you can do something. We have the non-credit adult education programs. Those ones is part of non-formal. Computer training in the community. That one is non-formal. Of course, as I said earlier on, there are many online free courses. Then specific trainings and activities I've talked about New Vision, like the Harvest Money program, and then training in specific areas. So my view is that maybe we need to promote this. You can start with a few programs, and we keep on changing as we look at demand, and also the resources that we have at hand in order to run these programs. But as I've said, that we shouldn't think that the formal education is bad. I've had something. Actually, one time I was in Pretoria. Then one professor from UNISA said, you see, your president was here, and he said that your education system does only one good thing, to teach you to speak English. You don't do anything else. I said, well, I don't know, maybe the person he met, you know, there are very few people who meet the president. Maybe that one was the only one who was going to speak English. But the other is we have so many other people who are trained in so many things. We have doctors whom even the government cannot employ. We have teachers who are not even employed, yet some of them did sciences, as the government says. So now, what is it that somebody wants? Well, people who have done agriculture who have no land. So why doesn't the state need the help with that? But the point I'm making is education, as you know, and as well as I know, you give somebody education. I think education institutions used to function like hospitals. When you go to a hospital, maybe you are sick, they treat you, they don't ask you that when you get well, what will you do? Their work is to treat you, do what? You go. So here, even education, you come, you say you want to learn IT, they teach you, you get your degree, your certificate, your whatever in IT, you go. What you do later, it is up to you. You shouldn't ask the what? The university. As you've been hearing before. Somebody was a teacher, now is a member of parliament. But at that time, we didn't ask the school that you are training this person to be a teacher, what will he do? He did not know that he would become a what? Member of parliament. And somebody a minute ago told us that she did engineering, but now she's doing what? So, you empower people with whatever. They will do what? They will learn from there. And finally, I would like to take this opportunity and honor to declare this non-formal education program for social transformation and growth launched at Nkumba University.
Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for I think in the same spirit, we have a cake, the ushers, like he has officially ordained and launched this program. Let me welcome the ushers to bring the cake over here, and together with the president, the program. Let's have the cake over here, and our guest speakers, Mrs. Kenya, Mrs. Kamba, and the rest of the guest speakers. It's unfortunate that we do not have a DJ. We shall move that way. Let me welcome the organizing. We can all stand over here. Let's over here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Wilbur is the president of School of Education. I think we can have you over here. Where can we cut from? So let's come right in front. Yes, let's have the ushers open the cake. For our online family, ladies and gentlemen, we have officially launched this program, Professor Senteza Kajubi non-formal community education program. I think let me ask the ushers to bring past the table where we can cut from. The ushers will together with the organizing committee. The DJ, we do not have a DJ, it's unfortunate, but it's okay. Let's still move on that way. Let's see the president and the organizing committee. Head of department. Okay. We can have the knife. Professor Monday,
have the knife, the guest speaker, together with the rest of us can do an attribute symbol that we are officially, ladies and gentlemen. The DJ, please, you can play for me the music. Please you can continue doing it. Officially, as we are launching this, in Kumba University, we can count from how many, Mr. President? From two. Yeah. Okay. 2, 1, and finally, ladies and gentlemen, 0. Yeah.
Let's have the national schools very fast and we go to other. As a member, other program. As a member, you must welcome School of Journalism, the most active. Some attention. Mr. Mande. So we expect. So there is. Police. Where are Hey. Swear to China. The next other performances, I think the next program